I wanted to talk about mostly the accountability, as you said, and I think that is really very important. I don't think that we can just talk about governance. We can be specific around resilience, but it's really also about governance in general. Because we had a discussion last week looking at the global risk report, 31 risks globally, and thinking about, if you think Africa, contextualize that, what would be the biggest risks that are most likely to happen and to which actually we probably are less prepared to attend. And actually several have been identified, but one overarching that was really identified was weak governance. And that for me is not just around food security and nutrition, but it's around everything else, capacity to be entrepreneur and everything. So that is critical. And for me, one thing though that will be really important is really how do we strengthen that capacity, that overall governance through institutions, but also that's why I talked about participation, because it's not just being communities to whom we're thinking about building their resilience are able to participate, to be part of making decisions, but also how they are enabled and empowered to be able to hold accountable. Because as we know, accountability is not, it's also an issue of power relations. That is not just given per se, but the ability to hold governance accountable is also would be quite important in any undertaking, including this. One point also I wanted to talk about is the importance of partnership, as one just raised. And responding to the question also you asked what my institution is doing actually in resilience. I just wanted to say that building resilience is one of the two overarching objectives we have at Rockefeller Foundation, along with building inclusive economies. And what we are trying to do is really serving as a catalyzer in cultivating really collective problem-solving efforts that represent the vulnerable and community, but also incentivizing and investing in commercially viable solutions, and thirdly, in expanding the evidence base.
But can I just be cynical for a second? Some people would say, you're doing that anyway, you're just calling it resilience. So that's the cynic. I'm not saying I believe that, but what's the answer to that?
No, actually, I think that it is really, I can bring really, I think that it is really changing about how we are approaching this, how we are bringing the fragmented approaches together, pushing, call it innovation, learning, but also institutionalizing that.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Thank you. I would like to first respond to Lauren's question on the how to improve or increase the capacity. Based on the experience in Aceh at the time that in the transitional period actually, we try to focus our assistances for the capacity building. We already done with the infrastructure, we already done with housing, we already done with some of the economic recovery, but the capacity building is the most important one on the transition period. So it means that most of the donors' assistance and also government budget try to be focusing on the capacity of the local government. That's the very promising one, and now the local government took over all the responsibility towards the sustainability process.
So it's capacity to respond quickly, to coordinate, to
do the coordination, doing also the financing capacity, and so on and so forth in this case. And then on the case of the accountability, it is very clear that since the very beginning of the process of the recovery, actually, we already established what we call the Recovery Aceh-Nias database, which can be accessed easily from the website. Everybody can access those data. In every single financing coming from the government, coming from the donors, coming from the NGOs, And even the result of the utilization of the funding already been put on the website. So until now, you can access the data is still open easily. And it's already been adopted by all the auditing system actually for the disaster and also talking about the resilience about how the system is still going on right now. If we are trying to see the accountability, transparency, and also the participation of all the stakeholders in doing such a recovery process.
Thank you. Jackie.
Yeah, responding to my brother's question on how we deal with policy issues, I would start by saying that, and taking our own example, we try as much as possible to continue building our internal capacity, both in the area of technical, but also in the area of resource capacity, financial capacity, so that we are able to, create space for dialogue and engagement with the government, but also so that we have enough muscles and capacity to also participate in the government platforms, development partners platforms, both at the local, regional, and also at the international level. And that's how we have been very effective and efficient in addressing issues concerning our people and also mainstreaming our agenda across the board. But we have also been engaging other partners and other partners, both especially in the private sector. There are other platforms in Tanzania, but also in the region that we have been engaging with in trying to push our agenda forward. So those are some of the strategies that we use. And increasing the space for private sector organization and farm organization, there's a change of strategy. We are trying as much as possible now to engage more with our government, mobilizing, ensuring that there is commitment, financial commitment, but also technical commitment from our government to support development work on the ground. And I'll give one example where last year we signed a contract with the Ministry of Agriculture in Tanzania and the Ministry of Industry and Trade, and we are working with them in partnership on the ground to build what we call market collection centers and also other farmer service centers in the rural areas to support farmers. So that is what we do now as a change of strategy. Corruption and also accountability to farmers and government, because it's the question of capacity and also ensuring that there is optimal, information flow between us and them, and also encouraging feedback from them, but also having very strong measurement tools, monitoring and evaluation to measure efficiency, but also inefficiency as we deal with farmers and other players.
Thank you, Jackie.